There are stories that make us pause, fall silent, and ask ourselves, what are the true limits of human strength? Some people are born with strong arms and steady legs, yet collapse under the weight of hardship. And then there are others, those born with nothing, who still stand tall in the storms of life, shining like miracles of resilience. Nick Vujicic is one of those people. He was born without arms, without legs, a body many would call completely incomplete. Yet from the darkness of despair, Nick discovered light, the light of faith, courage, and an unbreakable will to live. From a child who once wanted to end his life, he became a global speaker, inspiring millions across more than 70 countries. He stood on the world's greatest stages just to say one simple, powerful truth: if I, a man with no arms and no legs, can be happy, then so can you. The story you're about to hear isn't just about overcoming adversity. It's a wake-up call for all of us, a reminder that happiness doesn't come from what we have, but from how we choose to live with what we've been given. And now, I want to tell you that story, the journey of a boy born without arms and legs, who never stopped dreaming. A journey of tears, pain, and the small spark of faith that changed everything. My name is Nick Vujicic. I was born different, in a delivery room filled with silence and tears. No one believed a child like me would survive, let alone one day stand before millions to speak about joy. I once hated myself. I thought my life was a cruel joke of fate. But in the deepest pit of despair, I discovered something extraordinary. The true value of a person lies not in their body, but in their unbreakable spirit. From that moment, I began to write my own story, a story without miracles, yet filled with courage, faith, and love. A story that proves even a life without limbs can still be a life without limits. Nick Vujicic, born without arms and legs, but never gave up. I was born on a December morning in 1982, in Melbourne, Australia. When the doctor placed me in my mother's arms, the room fell silent. No one spoke. There was no laughter, no congratulations, only the sound of my mother's muffled sobs. I was born without arms, without legs, only a small foot with two fused toes on my left side. No one had been prepared for it. No medical explanation could ease the pain my parents felt. My mother fainted when she saw me for the first time, and my father, the strongest man I've ever known, broke down in tears right there in the hospital. He said, "My son will never walk, never feed himself, never live a normal life." My childhood began surrounded by pitying looks and whispered questions. Why would God let a child be born like this? I watched other kids run, play ball, write with their hands, and I asked myself why I was so different. I resented God. I cried out, "Why did you make me this way if you knew I would suffer?" When I was 8, despair consumed me. One morning, I tried to end my life by slipping into the bathtub, hoping to let go of everything. But then, I heard my mother crying outside the door. I imagined the pain she would feel if I left, and I couldn't do it. That was the first time I understood that my pain could cause even deeper pain to those who loved me. From that day on, I stopped asking, "Why did you make me this way?" and started asking, "You made me this way, for what purpose?" That single question changed everything. I began to teach myself how to write, holding a pen between my tiny toes. It took months just to write one shaky sentence. I learned how to roll a ball, how to swim, how to climb stairs. Each time I fell, I said to myself, "Nick, just get up one more time." No miracle ever gave me arms or legs, but I discovered something far greater, the power within me. When I was 13, I read a verse in the Bible, "I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made." I cried. For the first time, I felt that I had value. I wasn't a mistake, I was a mission waiting to be fulfilled. From that moment, I dared to dream bigger. I learned to speak in public, even though people laughed when they heard that a guy with no arms and no legs wants to be a speaker. I stood on my high school stage, my heart pounding, facing hundreds of eyes waiting to see what I would say. I was nervous, but I spoke. I told them about the times I fell, the tears, and the strength that came from not giving up. When I finished, the entire audience stood and clapped. That day, I realized I didn't need hands to hold someone, I just needed a heart to touch them. After graduating from college with a double degree in accounting and financial planning, I began sharing my story at small schools, churches, and youth camps. At first, there were only a few dozen people. But then, videos of my talks spread across the world. People who had lost hope started writing to me. One young woman with terminal cancer said, "I'm not afraid to die anymore, because you've shown me that life is still worth living even for one more day." I cried reading those words, not out of sadness, but because my pain had become someone else's hope. I have since traveled to over 70 countries, speaking to millions, from prisoners who once wanted to end their lives, to business leaders searching for direction. I tell them the story of a boy born without limbs who once wanted to die, but now lives with joy. I tell them, if I can find happiness, so can you. Because happiness doesn't come from what you have, it comes from a grateful heart. I remember once speaking to thousands of students in Thailand. A young girl ran up to the stage, hugged me, and sobbed, "I have a disability too. I thought my life was useless. But when I saw you, I realized I can still do anything." At that moment, I knew that the value of life is not in what we possess, but in what we give. I used to think no one could ever love someone like me. I was used to being stared at with pity or curiosity. Then one day, I met Kenny, the woman with bright eyes and a smile like sunlight. The first time we met, she said, "You may not have hands to hold me, but I can feel your hands in my heart." I cried. Her love made me believe that everyone deserves to be loved. We married in 2012 and now have 4 beautiful children. I may not hold them like other fathers do, but I embrace them with my heart, and that's enough. Family became the second miracle of my life, after faith. There are still days when I feel tired, when I wonder what I'm fighting for. But every time I stand before a crowd and see faces filled with hope, I know the answer. God used a man with no arms and no legs to show the world that nothing is impossible. I don't just speak, I swim, surf, play golf, even kick a soccer ball. Not to prove anything, but to show that limits exist only if we let them. I founded Life Without Limbs, an organization dedicated to helping those who feel hopeless, broken, or lost. I've met countless people ready to give up, and I always tell them, if you can't find a miracle, be one for someone else. If you're reading this, maybe you're in a dark place right now, when every door seems closed, when pain makes you want to quit. I understand, because I've been there. But please remember, life isn't about waiting for the storm to pass, it's about learning to dance in the rain. Never say, "I can't." If a man without arms and legs can write, work, love, and inspire millions, then you, with everything you have, can do 100 times more. Don't compare yourself to others. Compare who you are today with who you were yesterday. Get up every time you fall, even if it's just one more time. I once said, if you fall 100 times, stand up 101 times. Because you only truly fail when you stop trying. And sometimes, it's through the cracks in your heart that the light gets in. Today, when I stand on stage and look at the thousands of faces before me, I no longer see the broken boy I once was. I see a complete person, not because I have limbs, but because I have a heart that loves, believes, and gives. If my life could tell you one thing, it would be this: you don't need hands to hold happiness. You only need a heart that believes in goodness. And if I, Nick Vujicic, can live a meaningful life without arms and legs, then you, reading this story, can do something extraordinary too, because you were never born to be limited, but to shine. Life isn't about having everything, it's about making the best of everything you have. Nick Vujicic.